So before we start, I want to ask you a simple question. Have you ever caught yourself thinking, why does this keep happening to me? Same type of manager, same team dynamics, same frustration. Different company, same experience. At some point, it stops being a bad luck and it starts becoming a pattern. And if we are honest, this doesn't just appear in our career. It shows up in who we date, the relationships we stay in, the things we tolerate longer than we should. So the real question is not why does this keep happening to me, but more like, why do I keep choosing this? I know, it's a slightly uncomfortable question. I started noticing this pattern a few years ago. Different people, different backgrounds, different industries, but surprisingly, similar stories. People ending up in roles where they constantly have to prove themselves, overwork, over-deliver, burning out. And at the same time, I notice them being drawn to people who they make them feel that they need to earn attention, earn validation, earn love. Different context, same pattern. And the more I observe this across careers, long-term relationship, dating scene, the clearer it became. We don't operate as two different people. We don't have one version of us for work and another one for our private life. We carry the same pattern into both. The way we choose a partner many times reflects on how we choose a job. And the way we handle conflict in a relationship shows up at work. If we overgive, overadapt, or overprove, it doesn't stay contained. It travels. Let me be a little bit more concrete about it. If you tend to overinvest early, you might say yes too quickly to a job. You might take too much on your shoulders, and you have the constant need to prove yourself. And you ended up, of course, exhausted within months. We confuse urgency with commitment and overperformance with value. If we avoid difficult conversations, we stay too long to the wrong roles. We might hesitate to ask for that promotion that we really want to. And we don't communicate our boundaries. Slowly, of course, we disengage. Just like in the wrong relationships, we hope things will improve without even addressing what is not working. If we constantly seek for validation, we ended up in environments where our value is never quite recognized because we rely so much on external praise. We second-guess our decisions, we overthink any possible feedback, and we adapt ourselves to be liked rather than being valued. And if we try to stay in control, we gravitate towards roles where they make us feel safe and competent, but rarely challenged. We micromanage, struggle to delegate, and we avoid situations where we might feel we need to be exposed or we might fail. Of course, this slowly doesn't allow us to grow, but it makes us feel more safe in our comfort zone. Different contexts, same pattern. Now, here is the part that most people don't really realize. We don't repeat these patterns because they work. Obviously not. We repeat them because they feel familiar. And what feels familiar feels safe. And what feels safe is secure. Our brain prioritizes predictability over uncertainty. So even if a pattern frustrates us, limits us, costs us opportunities, if it feels familiar, we're going to keep repeating it. So, how many times we're going to end up asking ourselves, why do I always end up here? Because our decisions are not random. We are consistently noticing the same type of opportunities, feel drawn to similar situations and people, interpret situations in familiar ways, and we react using the same behavior, which is actually called behavioral patterning and confirmation bias. We don't just respond to reality as it is, we respond to what we learned to recognize as normal. So over time, we reinforce that loop. So it's not that we are unlucky, is that we are predictable. Predictable in what we tolerate, predictable in what we prioritize, predictable in how we respond under pressure. And unless that pattern becomes visible, it keeps repeating, and everything else can be changing. So after seeing this again and again, I realized something uncomfortable. Most of us, we don't have a career problem, said in the Career Growth Festival. We have a pattern one. That plays out many times in our career. And until we see it, we will keep repeating the same situations with different people, different working environments, different titles, but very similar outcomes. So what do we actually do with that? We don't need a complete reinvention, that's the good news. We just need a small shift. So I created a small framework of 5 steps called the sheet. It's double T, just to make sure. Okay, so first of all, spot the pattern. Not once, not twice. But what keeps coming up as a theme? Where do you catch yourself thinking, here we go again? Or maybe, that feels familiar. Second one, highlight the cost. What is this pattern costing you? Energy, opportunities, confidence, time? Because if the cost stays vague, change stays optional. Interrupt the autopilot. This is where most of us get stuck. We see a pattern, but we keep repeating the same behavior. So instead of changing everything, change one moment. Pause, take a deep breath, and create enough space to choose differently. Trick your response. We don't need a perfect response. We just need a different one. If you usually overgive, hold back slightly. If you tend to avoid, address an issue earlier. If you rush through decisions, slow them down. It will feel uncomfortable, but that's not a sign you're doing it wrong. That's actually a sign that you're breaking the pattern. And finally, track and repeat. Because one different action doesn't create change. Repetition does. You reinforce this new behavior until it becomes familiar. And that's when the shift happens, or the shit happens. Okay, so you might be thinking, okay, Chrysa, that sounds fairly simple, right? Why isn't it everyone doing it? Well, it is simple to understand, but it's a bit uncomfortable to apply. Because sometimes, like, difference means going against what feels familiar, what feels safe, what feels secure. And the reality is, it's hard to change your pattern. But it's also hard to keep repeating the same situations, same frustrations, just with different people. So you don't just avoid difficulty, you choose it. And the next time you're about to say yes, pause, take a deep breath, and remind yourself that this is the moment you choose which difficulty you're willing to live with. Thank you very much.